Hello everyone and welcome to my channel. I'm Rosa Maria. Today's tutorial we're going to learn how to make a travel shoe bag. This is a very simple, quick and easy project. It's very practical and it's also great for beginners. And also I wanted to mention you can customize this travel shoe bag to fit your shoes, your boots, and even your slippers. And also it's a great project for you to make as gifts for your family and friends. And if you have an Etsy store, this is a great project that you can make to sell on Etsy and make a little extra cash. So let's start with this project. Materials that you're going to be needing is you can choose any cotton fabric with printed if you prefer. You can choose any cotton fabric for the lining. You have two options. You can use a sewing pins, as you can see here, or you can use the fabric clips over here. You have two options. You can use a rotary cutter or a pair of scissors to cut your fabric. I have here a erasable washable fabric pen. I have here my webbing strap is about 1 inch, a ruler of your choice, and also a 14-inch zipper that I have here to make this project. The first step you need to do is you need to cut your fabric pieces. The outer fabric pieces, I decided to choose this printed fabric, and I cut it 14.5 inches by 14.5 inches, and I have two outer fabrics. And also for the lining, I chose a solid kind of like a lavenderish bluish color here, and I also cut out two of the lining pieces exactly the same size, 14.5 by 14.5. And here I have my 14 inches zipper, and the webbing I cut 8 inches, and again is a 1 inch webbing. Place your solid fabric down, and then you take your zipper here, and I'm going to line it on top of the edge here, as you can see, of the fabric here. And then I'm going to take here my printed outer fabric, and I'm going to face it down, and I'm going to place it on top, and I'm going to line it up. As you can see, I want to make sure it's nicely aligned and the zipper will be sandwiched there together. And I'm going to take my fabric clips and I'm going to clip it together. And I'm going to take it to the sewing machine and stitch down across. I have here my foot presser, and it's right along the edge here of the fabric. And I'm going to start to sew. And I'm going to back stitch to secure the thread to the fabrics, and continue to sew all the way down, and remove my fabric clip as I go. And I'm just making sure that everything is all aligned, nothing is out of order before I continue to sew. Coming to the end, I'm going to back stitch. And as you can see, this is how I stitched it to the fabric. I finished sewing, as you can see. Now I'm going to turn this over so you can see what it looks like. Yeah, so when you finish attaching the zipper to the fabric and the lining, this is what it looks like. Now I am going to take my lining here and I'm going to place this here on top, and I'm going to line it up again. I'm going to make sure also that the end here matches left and right are aligned also. And I'm going to take my outer fabric and I'm going to face it down and then line it up, as you can see here. I'm going to make sure it's nicely lined up, and I'm going to use the fabric clip to secure it together. Take this end. Making sure everything is lined up together and making sure it's sandwiched. Now I'm going to take it to the sewing machine and I'm going to again sew straight down to attach the outer lining and the zipper together. Okay, I'm going to start to sew now. Back stitch. Back stitch. I finished sewing and I want to show you what it looks like. I'm going to open it up. So when you sew both outer fabrics together on the zipper, this is what it looks like. And let me show you the lining fabric. This is what it also looks like when you attach. Now I'm going to take it, now I'm going to do another step. The next step is I'm going to pull my wool mat. I already have my iron on. And I'm going to lay this flat. And I'm going to start to iron because I want to make sure this is nicely pressed. I'm putting some steam on. And now I'm going to flip it to the other side. Oops. And I'm going to do the same thing here. I'm going to iron it flat. back to the front. And I'm going to take it to the sewing machine, and I'm going to stitch all the way straight down in both sides here. So I'm going to have 2 stitches going across. So I'm going to focus on one side first, and I'm going to take it to the sewing machine. Okay, now I'm at the sewing machine. I'm going to top stitch. This is what it looks like. I'm done with one side. Now I'm going to work on the other side. Here we go, back stitch. Back stitch. And we are done top stitching both sides of the zipper ends. Here are these straight stitches that are done. Now I'm going to take the outer fabric, and let me just flip this way. Okay. And I'm going to just put these 2 together, both printed sides facing each other. And I'm going to take my fabric clips and I'm going to clip them together. And then I'm going to do the same thing for the other side. The reason why I'm clipping these together is because I have to take it to the sewing machine and do a straight stitch also here. And for the lining, I'm going to also do the same thing, but I'll show you first. First, let me just clip it, the corners here. I'm going to take my ruler and I'm going to measure, I keep hitting the camera, about 4 inches. And I'm going to take my erasable pen here. So this is about now 4 inches. And I'm going to mark this out here. And the reason why I mark 4 inches, I need an opening in order to turn the fabric inside out. I'm going to put another clip here. And I'm going to take my sewing pins. This is where I make the markings. Yeah, the sewing pin will remind me that I have an opening and not to continue sewing. Because if I continue sewing, I'm going to close that opening, and then it will be very difficult for me to turn the fabric inside out. So same here. We're going to do a straight stitch, and it's about 1/2 inch seam allowance, and the same thing for the outer fabric. 1/2 inch, well, I can't even speak, 1/2 inch seam allowance for both of them. Back stitch. I'm coming close to my sewing pin. I'm going to remove the sewing pin out of the way, and then I'm going to back stitch. And leave that opening here. And I'm going to start where I have the other needle, the sewing needle I mean, and I'm going to put the foot presser down. Back stitch. Back stitch here. Finish sewing the lining and the outer fabric. Next step is I'm going to take the outer fabric and I'm going to open up these seams here, as you see, and I'm going to take my iron and I'm going to press it, give it a good steam. Oops. Now I'm going to do the same thing for the lining. Open up the seam. Nice good press. Now I'm just going to do this to the fabric. I'm going to take the seam marking or the seam to match to the zipper, and as you can see, it's going to look like this. And I'm going to take a clip, fabric clip here. I'm just going to clip here. Clip here and clip here and clip on here, and then I'm gonna flip it over and do the same thing. I'm gonna make sure that the seam matches the zipper on both. As you can see, it's nicely even together. And again, I'm going to take my clip it. Now that I have done that, I'm going to flip it over because I am looking to make sure that the zipper pull is facing up. Okay, let me just shift these little clips to the side. I'm going to take my erasable fabric pen and my ruler. I'm just going to move this, kind of bend this out of the way because I want to work on this other outer fabric here where the zipper is. And I'm going to take my ruler and I'm going to make a 2-inch marking. And that's going to start from here at the edge to here, and I mark it so I can see it. And I'm going to flip the ruler again. Let me see if I can move some of this stuff out here. Okay. Same thing. From here, the marking, start at here at the edge, and then I'm going to mark it over here. And that's my 2-inch marking on both ends where the zipper is. And then I'm going to take my 1-inch webbing strap, and I'm not going to place it next to it, the marking, but I'm going to place it in. And I'm going to take a clip to secure it, and I'm going to do the same thing to the other side. Clip, not clip, but line it up from the marking, and then take a fabric clip to secure it. And then I'm going to take it to the sewing machine, and I am going to stitch to secure the web strap onto the outer fabric. And that's making sure that I don't sew the outer fabric. So when I take it to the sewing machine, I make sure that the outer fabric, not out of fabric, but the lining is not in the way when I start to sew. So let's go to the sewing machine. I'm just going to move this fabric clip to the side. As I mentioned, I'm going to just move the lining out of the way. And then just place the foot presser right here on top, as you can see right here at the edge. And I'm going to start to sew, back stitch, and then I sew again, the second and the third, and one last time just to secure the webbing handle onto the outer fabric. Now I'm going to do the same thing to the other strap here. I'm going to make sure that the solid fabric, the lining fabric, is out of the way. Okay, I have it right here underneath the foot presser. Okay. Now my second passing. This is my third and my fourth to give it a nice good secure. And this is what it looks like. And again, I made sure that the lining was not caught. As you can see, I finished sewing the web strap onto the outer fabric, and I made sure that I did not sew the lining to it. So as you can see, this is how it should look like. As you can see, I was too quick. I snipped off the zipper tab. I should have kept it with, but that's okay because you're going to be cutting the tips off anyway. I opened up the zipper, as you can see, and the reason why we need to have the zipper open is because we need to turn the fabric inside out, and we need the zipper open in order to do that. I'm going to put the web strap back in. And now I'm going to put the fabric piece facing down, and I'm going to have the lining piece facing up. And I'm going to show you the next step, what I'm going to be doing. I am going to be taking my eraser pen fabric, and I'm going to take my ruler, and I am going to measure 2.5 inches from here. The reason why I'm going to mark the fabric in order to create the fold. I'm going to do the same thing on this side. 2.5 inches. And also on this side too. 2.5. Right here, 2.5. And by making the markings here, I'm going to fold the fabric, and I'm going to show you how I'm going to be doing that. Okay, over here folded, as you can see. And then I'm going to flip it around. I hope you're able to see what I did. Do the same thing for here. I'm going to fold it. As you can see, I want to make sure this is nice and lined. Okay. Let me just do that one more time. Okay. Now it's much better. Okay. And by folding in half like that, I'm going to do is I'm going to fold the outer piece in, and I'm going to close it to sandwich it. And then I'm going to take my fabric clips, and I'm just going to clip it together to keep it all nicely even. Just clip it over here. Turn it the other way around. Okay. Let me fix this here. Do the same thing. Fold the outer fabric in, and then just place it. Just shift this a little bit. Okay. Okay, now it looks nice. Okay, as you can see, it's nicely sandwiched. Let me flip it over just to make sure everything is nicely clipped. Nothing is let me get this one. Okay. And this is the part where you snip off any extra zipper that is sticking out, because you want it nice and even. And I'm going to take it to the sewing machine, and we are going to stitch in both corners here 1/2 inch on one side and 1/2 inch in the other side. And when I'm sewing, I want to make sure that I am holding the zippers together. Okay. So let me go to the sewing machine now. My seam allowance here is going to be 1/2 inch. back stitch, I am coming slowly to where the zipper is. I just want to make sure that they're together. Back stitch, let me sew the other side. Come on, Rorschach, come on, come on. I'm trying to sew here. Come on, Rorschach. Okay. Okay, 1/2 inch here. Back stitch. As you can see, both ends have been sewn. And then this is where you kind of snip off the extra zippers here at the end. And here is the opening that we left. So it makes it easier for me to turn the fabric inside out. And here I go. Let me get this corner. Takes time to kind of work everything in. And this is what it looks like. I'll show you the back. And this is the front. It's pretty. I'm going to unzip it again. And we have here the opening. You can slip stitch the opening by hand, or do what as I do. I'll use a sewing machine to close that opening. So let me take it to the sewing machine to close it. I'm going to start to close up the opening here. I just want to make sure. Okay, now I see. back stitch. I have all the way over here to continue stitching. Back stitch. And I am done. As you can see, I finished stitching the opening. And we're done. And I'm gonna show you, I have my pair of shoes and I just slide it in. Close the zipper. And this is what it looks like at the end. Here are the ends and the back. And look how cute this is. So we just finished making our travel shoe bag. I hope you all enjoy this video and making this travel shoe bag. In the description box below, I listed all the items that you needed, and also I provided a link where you can purchase the items. If you liked the video, please give it a thumbs up, share with your friends and your family, and if you're not a subscriber, click on the subscribe button, and also if you click on the bell, YouTube will notify you when I upload a new video. So till next time, have a good day. Bye.